Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 10 Forward Weekly, the show that is about Star Trek Online. I don't normally do the introduction like that. I don't know how that happened, but it came out of my mouth. Welcome. I am... There we go. Trying to pull Star Trek Online into windowed mode so I can readjust some stuff for the stream, which, yes, I should have done before the stream. No, I didn't do it before the stream. Oh, well. Hope you all are doing well. There we go. That looks good. Okay. So how's everybody doing? Good? 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 Sounds good. Welcome to 10 Forward Weekly. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Fadum. I am also your host. I'm also known as Ambassador Kel, the community manager for Star Trek Online. Sorry if I seem a little flustered. I ran into the stream a little quickly this time as opposed to my usual prep time. Folks, thank you all very much for joining us. We've had a big release this week. House Shattered came out yesterday, which is very exciting. We've now got the next part of the Klingon campaign, and that is what we are going to be doing today. So I'm here to answer your questions, and also to play through the newest bit of content, and log into the game, probably. Sorry, I know I'm unusually flustered today. Yeah, the birthday streamer is still hanging. My daughter, those of you who missed it, my daughter's birthday was, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago? A month ago? No, 3 or 4 weeks ago. But she really likes seeing it when she comes out. She sings happy birthday to herself every time she comes out into the room. It's the most adorable thing. And she also said the other day, "Daddy, you can't take it down." So, not taking that down. Oh, that was a mistake. Let me mute myself while I crunch on this carrot. Hang on. All right. Since I know this is going to be the first question, what happened today? Some of it is technical and I can't go into, but there was an issue that caused the unexpected downtime this morning. The one that happened at like 7 a.m. So that's the issue with that was a database getting overloaded. I can't go into too much more details than that, but it knocked off the server. What happened, I've been told by the engineer folks, is unfortunately it looked like a different or easier to deal with problem than it actually was. And so they believed they'd had it fixed and turned the shard back on. And then, of course, discovered very quickly that the shard was about to crash again. And so they chose to take it offline while they fixed it. And that's why we had the second unexpected downtime this morning. Other stuff that cropped up yesterday, things like the DirectX video card issue and some other things like that. Disappearing characters especially. We're aware of all that. We're looking into it. We will find your stuff. I promise. I shouldn't promise. I don't know. But I've been assured by the folks who know better than me, engineering types, that we can get your characters back if your characters have disappeared. All right. Treykev1701 says, "I've never responded to any direct question he's asked on Twitter. He thinks I may only reply to those who are prominent and influential in the community." That is definitely not true. You should see some of the people I reply to. But you might want to look at what questions you've sent me. If your question was, I don't know, "Kel, why do you suck?" I might not have answered that one. You're right. Yeah, Nick is calling me out for promising things in chat. Let's see. Yeah, Falsefire is right. They're saying as a retired software developer, never promise or say it will, only it should. Yes, Cairo47, you should actually be getting Phoenix Prize Packs for the Phoenix Prize Pack event that we're running right now. We're fixing that. Let's see. Yeah, it's safe to log in. It was safe to log in on Tuesday. It just was down for a couple of hours today. Let's see. Godimus, no, unfortunately the Halloween event isn't happening this year. I wish it was, but it's just finding the time to get it done. Yeah, that is a good point, Treykev. If I can't answer the question, especially on Twitter, I generally just ignore it. Because I don't want to... It feels bad to me. It feels like a bad experience to just be like, I can't say. I don't know if people want me to do that. I could, I guess. The Synthwave TFO with the stuck ship, that's getting fixed. I think in an update tomorrow. There's another fix for it that may be updated next week, but I think the most pressing breaking thing is getting fixed tomorrow. Let's see. Tom Cullen, I already said that we're working on fixing the video card issue. Pay attention. All right. Well, folks, Ultra Z, I actually don't know what led to us making Enterprise-era weapons for this update. I'm glad we did, because people have been asking for the Mako rifle since I've been working here, and definitely longer. I wasn't around for any of those meetings. I know we were looking for more stuff to add to the low-buy store, and that may have just been a low-hanging fruit we could grab. I'm aware of the Mirror Warship trait and console not being available to Klingon captains in the Infinity Box. I have to talk to somebody about that. Thank you for reminding me. I will send an email after game. Cthulhu loves broken TFOs. He's the only one. Apparently Defera is broken. If somebody could get me some more details on that, that would be great. So, Duncan, Idaho, I'm not entirely sure which new skin texture... Oh, you mean the new stuff we added for female Klingons and for male Klingons. We're working on updating Klingons first for the Year of Klingon, and then there might be more stuff that we'll be updating in the future. I know our character artist, Ian, really wants to get the time on his schedule to just make all humanoids better. But I don't know what that involves. And I almost knocked over this toy. Treykev, if you've already bought the Fleet Space Trait slot, you will still get an extra slot with the experimental upgrade. If you didn't, as mentioned many times on Twitter, and I can show you this right now, the extra slot only works on your ship that you applied the upgrade to. I know that's a little confusing. Previously, traits have been unlocked for your entire character when you get an extra trait. I had to explain this to former community manager Brandflakes about 17 times on Twitter before he got it, but let's show you. So, here I have the IKS Qatar. This is my Pilot Raptor. I have equipped concealed repairs on this guy because I like healing and not dying. Well, not right now. Not right now, come in. Jason. Now the ground arena's in front. Okay, cool. You can only see this slot right here on the ship. If I were to switch to another ship, say, for example, the IKS Wasp. Not a good example because it's a shuttle, but it's what I have right now. You would not see this trait here, and you wouldn't be able to access it. If I go to my trait window, you could see IKS Qatar traits. So it's here for when I have the ship equipped, but it will disappear if I don't have that ship equipped. Let's see. Is the respect issue going to be fixed? I don't know. I really hope I get more respect. No, I know what you mean. The respec issue is being fixed and being worked on. Because what we were going to do today is play Partisans. So, yep, there we go. We can do that in a bit. I'll start the flight over there. Where am I going? You know what? I'm just going to just going to warp there. Sioners, no, the Terran Disco Enterprise skin is supposed to be accessible on the Legendary Disco Connie if you've got the Mirror Warship. So if you didn't get the Mirror Warship from the lockbox, you don't get the thing on the Legendary ship. The Legendary ships, as was stated in the blogs when they're launched and everywhere else that I've looked, only contained the skins, every skin for the ship up to that point. They weren't a thing where you bought them and you would get all future skins and everything else that might come out that might work with that ship. So that's how that works. Ranger Ryu, I believe, if to get your pack that you bought from the Epic Store, I think you just have to install the launcher from Epic and link your accounts. I don't know for sure. I haven't run it through myself. No, Demon Gray, I am reading stuff on Facebook as well. Just haven't seen, and I've answered a couple of Facebook questions recently. Yeah, Treykev, the problem with increasing ship slots or inventory slots is the problem you bought out, is the problem you've brought up, which is that it can cause problems with the server if people have too many items. We're looking into it. It's possible, but we're looking into it. Wanted War 7654 brings up a point that I would love to get a community feedback on, and let's do it here. The Gold Ferengi ship, the Grand Nagus ship. When that bad boy came out, I didn't work for the company at that point, but I am told by many people that it was one of the angriest days the player base has ever had. I was told never to mention that ship by the outgoing community manager, but here we are, I've done it. Is that a ship? Is that ship poison? If that ship is released in any other way, and we don't have any plans to do that, it's just something I've been wondering about. If that ship is released in any other way, will everyone be ecstatically angry again? Or just, that's cool, we can get the ship now. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Freed Admiral Salaknar, the limit on chat channels being lowered from 20 to 5 was a bug and it's getting fixed. Let's see. Lots of people are saying it'd be cool if you could get it, or they don't care about getting it. Did somebody say? I saw DRK Gannon mentioning Mud's Market. Now let's assume it goes into Mud's Market and continues the similar pricing range that Mud's stuff has. Would that be cool, or would that be, oh my god, how dare you, Cryptic? This game is trash and you are trash and you should die. Okay, so Mud's Market is getting yay, but not yay. Okay. All right. Cool. Good to know. Questions are coming in hot and fast now, so if I missed your question, I apologize. Please don't, if you're going to spam your question so I see it, please don't spam it, every 10 seconds. Give it a minute. If you're having specific glitch questions about, my shield does more damage and protects more damage in space or in ground or something like that, I really can't help with those on the stream right now because I've got so many questions coming in. Sorry. Okay. Norm McDonald just says, I dislike the Mud Market. I know, bud. I know. Apparently Reddit is freaking out. That doesn't sound unusual. Will the Phoenix Store be getting any more updates in the near future? I don't know about plans for that, but you can get the ship upgrade tokens there now. Queer Tribble, I've mentioned it before, so if people in chat could answer this one, because I've seen it come up a few times, we are working on fixing the free Phoenix Box event. Yes, the two plus active ships at the same time is getting fixed as well. Question: would y'all prefer I just don't play the episode and sit here and answer questions instead? I can do that. It feels like a day that we might need to do that. Or at least, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to sit here and answer questions for a bit and not play the game, and then I will then I'll swap back. So let me rearrange this so it looks a little prettier. No, I want to move this. All right. Big face time. Are you ready for big face? Big face in 3, 2. Okay. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. I'm seeing both Twitch and Facebook questions come in. The character swap bug is known and is being fixed. Let's see. Oh god, every time I start reading a question, 3 more questions come in. Let's see. For Year of Klingon, will we have the option of a Discovery-type Klingon? We haven't talked about that officially yet, and more info on that to come. And that's all I'll say. Okay, so on console, the Cold War mission on Defera does not work. That was the thing you guys keep telling me. Okay, I will pass that on. Who did the amazing VFX for the new Lobi set? That was very likely our FX artist, Chris Menard. It might have been Ian Richards, who helps with that stuff sometimes and is also a ship artist, but Ryukin 0D. The reason it's just me is because all the developers are too busy to hop on and do an AMA. I would love to do that, but I won't. Trekev has hit it on the head why there was only 1 episode in this most recent thing. The working from home makes everything a little bit less efficient. And so we focused on getting this 1 episode really good and pushed off the 2nd episode that was supposed to be in here to our anniversary update, which will have, I think, this is a don't quote me on this, things can change. Currently it's planned to have 3 episodes, I believe, but Robster 1967, we can't accept story ideas from players, because then if we do something similar, even if we didn't look at your idea, you can be like, well, I told them to do that. That's my idea, and they stole it. I don't know how... No, that's still pretty true, even for Star Trek. Although I do see Nick in chat, so if Nick wants to hop on and do an AMA, hit me up on Discord, Nick. Let's see. George Jotrich, no, there won't be a Halloween event this year. Mystic Tree 44, every character in our game is set up with what costumes they can and can't use individually, like every body type. So it's likely if Borg Romulans can't wear Romulan uniforms, it's because there's something on the Romulan uniforms that will clip through costumes. And hey, we have a developer who just messaged me and was interested in joining the stream. So hold on 1 second. Our QA lead, Jeremy Heimel, is going to jump in and join me. Let me see. I haven't tried doing this with Teams before, so we'll see. Wait, I need to make this turn your camera on. Sorry, I made it in a regular call instead of a video call. All right, there's the Jeremy. Let me see if I can get him on stream. Jeremy, talk for me.
Testing.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, no, let me not start the ladies and gentlemen thing before I've actually put you on the stream. Before I know this is working. Dude, I haven't seen your quarantine hair yet. That's crazy. Okay, no. There we go. Dum, dum, da-dum. Now I've got the Teams calling song stuck in my head. Yeah, I told Jeremy he couldn't come on the well, he shouldn't come on the stream today because it was too late notice, and that was probably a mistake. All right, two more things to do. No! Freaking... the sounds of me trying to mess with this stuff. Okay. Is your title just QA lead?
Yeah, just QA lead.
Okay, cool. Sometimes people have like senior QA lead, alpha gamma.
That is true.
All right, and color will be white. I probably could have just briefly taken us off the air while I set all this up, but it's too late now. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Heimel. Hello, Jeremy. I see you pulled a hood up since I commented on your quarantine hair. I apologize.
The hair was looking rough.
Welcome.
How you doing?
No, Foxman, I don't need IT support. I just need to set that up. It takes a minute. Jazz Network wants to know if there's any console news I'm allowed to spill or hint. Yes, I'm allowed to both spill and hint that everything we do for PC will eventually come to console. I love you all. Yes, Jeremy, people are now suggesting new titles for you. They're saying it should be QA Lord or QA Emperor. Long Fox says you need a raise and a day off.
I very much agree with that.
Yeah.
Day off probably sometime next week if I had to guess.
Yeah. So before we dive into the questions for Jeremy, just a few things that I've seen pop up in chat 3 more times since I answered them recently. I assume people are showing up. These are the things we know about and have already started working on fixing. We know about the DirectX issue. We know about the disappearing characters. We know about the ship that doesn't move in the TFO. We know about... Jeremy, back me up here. What else do we know about?
We know AFK situation in the TFO.
Yep.
That should be fixed tomorrow. Let me get a list.
Yeah. We had a whole list yesterday.
Yeah, it was quite an eventful day yesterday. Unfortunately, not what we want, right?
Yeah. And I think since we get so much, lovely feedback sent the way of the QA engineers from our fan base, could you talk a little bit about, what the challenges are of being a QA team on a live MMO title like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest challenge is that we're only so many people. We have 6 people plus me. 2 of those people are relatively new within the last 2 months, I believe. So they were hired and started within quarantine. So as you know, that could be pretty challenging. So, having a game that's 10 years old, it's an MMO. There is so much in this game that I've been here for a year and 10 months, and I'm still learning things. The challenges that come with that are the game is so vast, and the code has been worked on for 10 plus years, that there are things that may seem very simple. And I heard the word should earlier. You should always say should, which is correct. But in QA, we actually have a should jar. So whenever a developer or whenever a QA person says should, we actually put like a quarter in a jar. And then whenever we have money, we buy pizza for everyone. So what happens is when something should be a small change, we can look under the hood as much as possible, but there are some adverse effects that could occur to something that, we haven't touched in years. With only having a limited QA team, not that I would, expect us to be much larger. It's difficult to, play 10 years of episodes and content to find every single bug. So unfortunately, that plus, we have our own engine. So there are changes that do occur within that as well. Now we do some things that, we're looking into more automation, and we do some tests that kind of, what we try to do is we try to lower the probability of issues occurring. And that's kind of what we do. We test the modules pretty thoroughly. There are things that we are going to miss. We want those things to be relatively small, right?
Jeremy, we call them seasons around here, or
Seasons?
story updates. Actually, I've been going with story updates because I got too many. Why do you call it a season if it only has one episode? Like 2 years ago. So
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we do a bunch of different things. A lot of it is that no matter what happens. So a good example is like the server going down today,
yeah,
or the character change issue. No matter what happens, the community is not going to understand that that wasn't, and we don't play the blame game, right? At Cryptic, it's we all find a solution, but our QA team couldn't have found those issues. They just weren't in our realm of testing. Plus, our shards are set up in different ways.
Shard, folks, being the live server that you play
itself.
on, yeah. So we have a shard that is Xbox, a shard that is PlayStation, and a shard that is PC.
Yeah, and when there's things on the back end, we don't have that technical expertise to be testing that at this point.
Yeah, and the people who do have the technical expertise were testing for it. But one of the things that we run into a lot with this, with a live environment game like this, is that even if everybody on our team, and even if everybody on all of our teams, if we got if we somehow had a thing where there was a week where STO, Neverwinter, and Magic and Champions all got together and played all of our new content to try and find bugs and sent bugs in, it still wouldn't be quite the same as the day we launched thousands of you guys directly at it out of a cannon. It's just you're gonna find more stuff because there's more of you, and that's just unfortunately sort of the reality of working in a live game like this.
Yeah, and we take our job super seriously, and I think that's the part that it's a little frustrating to see some things go live, right? Like the transport issue is like we literally play tested that every day for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and then we continue to do our test plan testing. So test plan testing is like, you verify that this does this, and it's like your baseline test. So it's like we do all these things, and then when you throw 1,000 people at it, it breaks in some weird way. So it's the nature of QA and the nature of software at this point. When I started, I've been in the industry for 10.5 years now. When I started, I worked for a game, and you developed it. It went live. It was like you had a week of hot fixes maybe, and then that's the game. It wasn't live as a service at that point.
Right.
So we've evolved so much. It's kind of you have to evolve in how you test and kind of where you put your time, because your time is important, right?
Yeah. Tim Parker Chambers has a good question that I think is an interesting thing. So he said, why don't we just pay one of the original programmers on the game to come back to explain how all of the code works to a current programmer, so that they know how their new stuff will interact with. First of all, our lead engineer Keith, I think, is one of those guys. If he hasn't been here the whole time the game's been live, he's been here most of it.
Wow. Yeah.
He finds stuff a lot, but the way that coding works isn't like, there isn't a magic, hey, the programmer knows how this works, they remember how they set it up so it won't break anything.
Yeah.
The Foundry is a wonderful example, actually, and that's part of the reason we had to get rid of the Foundry, sadly, is because, it was one of those things where we would change something that's completely unrelated that should never touch that, and it would just break it. It happens, too, with the issues we've been experiencing today, talking about stuff like, I don't know, what's some of the weirder ones that happened yesterday? Like stuff that just shouldn't have been related. The C-Store window causing a frame rate drop, like that has nothing to do with anything we did in the update. But somehow something bumped into something else, a semicolon 20 lines of code away or 300 lines of code away from the actual effect moved around, and it exploded.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what happens.
Yeah, and with you're never going to catch, unfortunately, you're never going to catch those things in kind of the way we do our testing, unfortunately. And I don't know too many companies that could. Um, you know, so
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting. I'm always looking for solutions. I'm
And
very
I will
much.
test to that. Jeremy is has been for the past year and a half. He said year and a half you've been here, right? I wasn't sure if it was
Yeah, a little
longer.
bit
It
more.
feels
Yeah.
like longer.
Yeah, it does.
Has been constantly improving our processes, constantly improving our training, really pushing things out to try and make the testing process better. Um, let's see. Somebody was asking. There was a question. Mino Dan wants to know. Well, they said, why don't you listen to Tribble community playtests, basically? But I'm gonna reframe that is how do we use the feedback from Tribble, and how do we gather the feedback from Tribble?
I've had a few ideas for Tribble. I think a lot of that goes to what production wants to put on Tribble. A lot of our modules, for example, Neverwinter, they put their whole module on their. It's not Tribble, but it's whatever their test server
Yeah,
is,
same thing with
and then they have
Chance.
their communities play through a lot of this stuff, and they fix a lot of issues. Unfortunately, the way our content is it's revolved around voice actors and surprises and super cool like episodes and stuff. So it's you don't really want to spoil the content just to kind of alleviate a few bugs. Um, I think the problem is it's not necessarily a problem. I think the challenge is getting people on Tribble.
Yeah.
I think when we put the 110 branch on Tribble, I think there was 3 people on. Um, so again, when we have these issues that we only uncover when there's hundreds and hundreds or thousands of people, we need to somehow replicate that. So I have a few ideas kind of floating around in my head to see, trying to get people on Tribble and what we can do to kind of incentivize? Sounds right.
Synthesize, is that the word you're looking for?
Synthesize? Get people to kind of go on Tribble, but there's other people that make those decisions rather than I do.
Yeah. And yeah, there's some good ideas being thrown out in chat, like Tribble events. We've done play with the devs a few times before, especially back when we were launching the competitive TFOs to try and get more people playing those. There's other things we could do, and that's actually something I should give some more brain space to, so maybe I'll try to think of stuff like that. Augmented Dictator Gabe says they need to apply for a job with Cryptic. First of all, crypticstudios.com/careers. Go, apply, please. We are always looking for talented people. But I do hear that a lot from people who probably mean it less sincerely than Augie. And so I'm just going to say, speaking as someone who was not in game development until I got this job 4 years ago, time, wow. It's really one of the most interesting things that people just don't really know what goes into game development. And so there is a lot of thought out there of like, oh, I could do this better, or oh, this could be done differently. That sort of fails with first contact with the enemy. And so like when Jeremy says, like Jeremy who has, how many years of experience do you have in QA, bro? Like overall?
Overall about 10 and a half.
Yeah. So he's got more than a decade of experience in QA. So when somebody like that tells me, we're always looking to improve, but right now we're doing everything we can to catch this stuff, that tells me that's 100% true. And it does bug me a little bit. This is kind of off topic, but it bugs me a little bit whenever somebody's like, oh, lazy devs or something like that. Because, like, my God, the QA team is working their butts off and working hard and working weekends to try and catch as much of this stuff as they can.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. The gaming community it's not unlike a lot of other industries, but you have such a quick line to people, all right? And what we want is, especially for me, I love talking to our community. I've taken breaks from talking to our community because it is a little bit difficult to mentally separate when someone says you're lazy and you suck, and that if you were talking to that person, you were able to kind of communicate, that wouldn't be their stand-in or their feeling. But it's an interesting mental, especially for mental health. It's you don't want to kind of dive into things where people are like, oh, you suck. Oh, like this dude should be fired. How are you letting all these bugs go through? And it's like, man, I just worked like 60, 70 hours last week, and I worked over the weekend, and So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
I do know that that is such a small minority of our community and most of the communities out there, right? But it's an interesting dynamic to work within the video game industry. So
Yeah, it's I'm glad that you take breaks for your mental health, and I'm also jealous that you take breaks for your mental health because I cannot. There was about a week, maybe less, probably a lot less, that I decided not to go to Reddit just because they had really jumped on the Kel should be shot from a cannon and then shot train, but it's rough. It's weird because people are like, people say a lot of like, oh, toughen up, learn to take this stuff better, but like when you're dealing with that every day, when you're dealing with a bunch of people, who don't know you, making assumptions and screaming at you, it's hard on your mental health, especially when that's your whole day.
And it's especially when you're doing, like, we want so badly for people to have an escape in our game. And the good side of the community is when we get those letters and those posts about like, you helped me through like an extremely difficult time in my life. That's why I make video games. Like I've said it to my team when I got here. It's like we aren't making video games. We're making an experience and an escape for people to, maybe they just lost their job, or maybe they're going through a really tough time in their life.
Especially right now when everybody's going through a friggin' tough time.
So you do that, and then to kind of get it back, it's like, damn, like I want you to really enjoy this, and we work really hard on it. But it's just the nature of, I think, any industry. Like the movies get it. I think everyone gets it. So, and we're getting a bunch of love in the comments. So thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. We appreciate that. That's something that I always try to. Somebody pointed out that I'm wearing a First Order T-shirt. I am not, sir. This says disobey on the bottom, and it's Finn's helmet with the blood streaks on it. So this is the opposite of a First Order shirt. Anyway, sorry. Somebody said something that I wanted to respond to. Where did it go? That's something that I always try to say about anything, especially when people are, saying, oh, why are the players all so angry all the time or something like that. It's like every single person you meet is going through something, and they're always trying to, like, that if you have the worst day ever, if you just lost your job, if you're, your parents divorced or something like that, and you come home to sit at your computer to play Star Trek for a couple of hours, and like the server's down for 5 hours for no reason that we can actually explain to you, you're gonna be very angry, and I understand that anger. So I'm not, being passionate is not bad. Just try not to throw it quite at us as much. Let's see. Somebody threw out a date in the Facebook chat for the for when House Shattered will come out on console. That date's incorrect. I think they just made it up, but thank you.
I would, if you have that date, let me know.
Yeah, that would be great. Somebody said it ran by really fast. Somebody said they used to work with me at GameSpot. I didn't see who it was, but good to see you again. Augie says they're like the Hulk. His secret is he's always angry. I know, bud. I know. The LQ2 gamer, the limited channels of in-game chat, that's a bug. That's getting fixed. Let's see. Oh wow, Thunderstar 103 played our game in Afghanistan.
That's amazing.
That's crazy. I have so many questions. Did they let you bring a laptop? Let's see. Yeah. The Jazz Network, buddy, I know. I have sent so many emails over the last, 4 years of, hey, is that Wrath of Khan uniform exclusive on PlayStation done? Could somebody check for me? Can we put that on Xbox? And I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer yet. I will keep trying. Let's see. Mystic Tree 44 says, "What's your inspiration when testing content?" And to that, I would sort of say, I think, what's your thought process that gets you through a day of playing the same missions or TFOs over and over?
I think it's something new every day. I think that's what we kind of find, especially when we're doing our balanced playtests. We'll go into a balanced playtest, and one day it's extremely hard, and then the following day it's like, the first three stages were awesome and perfect, and then the last stage was super, super easy, and it's always changing. You hear a lot of people say like QA is like playing the same map over and over and over again, like running into the same wall over and over again. And to some extent, it's true. It's a little bit of an outdated thought. We have tools to kind of test for that type of stuff. But in terms of like inspiration, it's hard to say outside of like we just want to do a good job, which I guess is kind of somewhat of a cop out. I I always enjoy when something goes live. I can go to like the forums or Reddit and the community, and just people are having fun. That's kind of my main push forward. Also, I'm just a lover of processes. That's just kind of how my brain works. So whenever we kind of slip up or don't catch something, it's kind of exciting for me to put in a new process and say, oh, we can do this differently, or hey, why don't we think about it this way? So that kind of excites me a little bit. Yeah, I would say that. And I've been gaming my whole life. I started gaming really, really young. I got into Halo when I was in high school. Played that quite a lot. Quit the football team so I can play Halo. Yeah, I mean, video games has been most of my life. So I mean, I'm 32. Yeah, 32, and I've been in the industry for 10.5 years. So it's kind of all I know.
Yeah. Caladrius had an interesting question, and this isn't really a QA question, but I'm going to throw it your way anyway because I think you know the answer to this. When we get a list of bugs and like a backlog of bugs to fix, what's the priority between making new content and fixing bugs? My take on that is, it really depends on the severity of the bug. If it's something that's affecting your gameplay or your fun right now and is affecting a lot of people, we'll generally pull people off whatever new task they're working on to have them fix it. But it is sort of it just depends on the severity. New content is always going to be kind of our main focus, but we always want to make sure that the big stuff that's really ruining things is getting fixed too. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
That's exactly, you kind of hit the head on the nail there. There's another side of it that it's also the time it takes to fix and test. So at first it's like, okay, well, what's this about? To give you an idea, this is what we do. So we have a database of bugs. We organize that these are all the bugs that are in the module that we're putting out for this date. And then we have what we call our backlog. Before we start on the next module, we sit down with our production team and we go over that backlog. We start with what we call showstoppers or criticals, basically the big ones, and say, can we build fixing this into the time that we have for the next season or module, whatever you want to call it. So we kind of like, okay, well, we know this is a critical bug. It's been in the game for a year. We know Jeremy has an extra day that he can fix it, so let's try to get it. So we kind of forward that from the backlog into the current module, I guess, or season. And then the time it takes to fix and test is important as well. That has to balance with the payoff of the bug. And I know that sounds bad, but if we have an extremely easy visual bug to fix and Scott does not have time to fix it because he's working on this whole new world for the next module, we have to balance that. We just have to. It's at the end of the day, it's a lot of scheduling and balancing of, okay, this is kind of ugly, should we get it fixed type situation.
Yeah.
So we push really hard to get as many backlog as QA. We push kind of hard to get backlog issues pushed into our current module and get those fixed as soon as possible. But yeah, there's a few factors that go into it.
Apparently, when I sip water, it comes over the microphone and everyone can hear it. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I'll mute before I take a drink next time. Oh yeah, there it is. I hear that.
Oh, you did it? Nice.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Dan PMK, the 2+ active ships bug. It is being fixed. We are working on fixing it for everybody. That's one of those ones where at least before this update, it was happening so gosh darned rarely that we would only know about it if somebody contacted support, and support gave us their character name and container. And it was always one of those things of like, it was a problem with that specific character. So we're working on it right now, but...
Yeah, that was another thing that it's just, again, one thing can make something reproduce more than it did in the past. This was an issue that occurred a few times in the past, but it was an extremely, extremely low repro rate. So we couldn't really reproduce it or get steps to software to kind of debug it, right? With this update, it accelerated the repro rate. However, we still don't have the understanding of what's causing it. So it takes time to dig into the code and figure that out and get it fixed. I think the question was like if we're going to retroactively.
Yeah, which I mean, I think if we find a fix that fixes everything, then we will
think
try
that's
to do
the
that.
goal, right?
Yeah.
I would assume the goal is to retroactively fix, but there are situations where that can't be done, and then we go through CS and they help us out a little bit.
So Mystic Tree 44 wants to know how the bug identify/fix process works. Why don't we hypothetical that, or not hypothetical that, and walk them through, let's say, like one of the bugs that I found yesterday from a player report, and how, what the life of that bug was. What's a bug's life cycle, Jeremy?
Cool. So once the bug is found, either it's live or internal, it doesn't matter. Once it's found, it has to be documented into Jira. Jira is our bug database. Every bug that is in the project goes through Jira. There is a lot of bugs. There's like quite a bit of bugs in our Jira database just because we've been live for 10 years. So it's just a lot of bugs. Once it's in there, we decide what we call them epic. So what an epic is for our project is the module that it's going live in. So for example, it would be season 21. And then we have a post season 21 epic. So we basically put them in buckets, right? And then that's when they should be fixed. Depending on the priority, which is usually how bad the bug is and when the developer needs to fix them, they'll take the showstoppers, which are usually the crashes or the big issues, over the smaller issues. So they'll prioritize them themselves. Sometimes there's a back and forth. If we didn't supply them with enough information, they'll ask for more information. But for the most part, we're pretty good about it. They fix the bug. What happens then is it goes into, they set the status of that bug to claim fix, which basically the developer is saying, hey, I fixed this.
I think
it works on my machine, LOL. And it goes back into a bucket. What we do is it usually goes back to that tester who entered it. And then this is where it gets a little bit, not tricky by any means, but sometimes it has to be incremented into the build that we have. If it is not incremented, and what I mean by that is our build guy, Justin, takes that specific fix from Jeremy Randall and puts it in our build. If it's not in there, we can't test it. Technically, we can test it, but that means it's not going to ever go live if it's not in an incremental build. So he has to do that. And then every morning we get what we call incremental builds, which is just, if we start from day one, we have 10 fixes that came from Jeremy. Day two, QA checks all those incrementals, says, okay, Jeremy, all your incrementals are done. They look really good. There's no knockoff bugs, which is kind of the main reason we do that process, is to ensure or try to ensure that when someone fixes an issue, it doesn't cause surrounding issues. And then it just keeps going day by day. So every morning when we come in, we have a list of fixes for our build. We go through those and we check each one. We report, if one fails, we report it back to our developer and say, hey, this doesn't seem, your fixes didn't work. Or, it created this other bug. Usually, they're actually pretty good. So before we start anything on our features or like any of our daily testing, we have to do this. it helps us to ensure the build's stability, and it also helps to make sure that we aren't introducing any additional bugs. Um, Once that is done, we can close that bug. We can basically say, okay, you fixed the bug, it's done. We can kind of move on with our lives. Um, so that's kind of the life cycle of a bug right now. There are situations where we'll close a bug and then like a month or two goes by and then it starts occurring again, so we have to reopen it. But for the most part, that's kind of how we do our build and bug life cycle.
Yeah. So a bunch of people asked while Jeremy was giving that very, very good answer about like having a public bug list that we would, update and tell people when it's fixed and stuff like that. From my perspective, as the person who would probably be the one heading up that effort if we were to do it, the problem I have with it and why I've never seriously pursued it is because it doesn't really change anything. It's a little bit more transparency for you guys, but the problem with that is then it ends up, hey, this bug has been on the list for, 4 months. Why haven't you fixed it? It's so easy. When it may be, one of the most difficult things in the world to fix. There are some players who keep up like lists of bugs and whether Cryptic has acknowledged them. There's one guy on Reddit in particular, but the last time we went through his list, there was like a bunch of stuff in it that wasn't a bug, was just like gameplay features he didn't like.
Yeah, there was I would think it was like 6 months, and he posts every time on the patch notes.
Right.
And I copied and pasted every single one. And I went to Christian. I sent him the document and I said, go through them. I go through every single one and kind of see where we are. And you're right. Most of them were, if not as designed issues that with our engine are just not possible to fix. But we got a few gems out of it and a few bugs.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, have you ever worked at a company that's done that kind of public bug list? I seem to remember you vaguely mentioning that before, but maybe not.
Not that I can think of. I worked at EA for quite some time. We didn't communicate with community. Like they have, they're a little bit bigger, so they have entire departments for that. So QA didn't really do that. I'll agree with your assessment. What we don't want to do is a perfect example and a learning experience for myself was we discussed the party system on console. And there was a Reddit post and an experience with our system. I just assumed that was a super easy fix. Oh, it doesn't work.
Let's go fix it.
Unfortunately, it is extremely much deeper than what we had ever imagined.
Yeah.
And it's still on the list. We're never going to drop that one. It's actually a priority for Travis coming up here soon. But yeah, you never want to promise, like someone said earlier. It's just we want to be as honest as we possibly can without hurting people and saying this can be fixed. I do somewhat bend that rule if I know 100% sure that we have a build with that fix.
Yeah.
And we verify.
And even then, I don't say when that build is supposed to come out because sometimes that changes too.
Yeah, I mean, I think this morning was a great example. Who knows what's going to happen? There's a lot of things out of our control that cause issues from making it out.
Yeah. Treykev has posted a thing here where they said basically, it feeds a perception that Cryptic isn't listening to the community if we don't tell you guys what bugs we're working on. It'd be better to be slightly more open and transparent. I hear this one a lot, and I don't know. This is going to sound, I don't know, self-pitying. It's probably going to be the kind of comment that's going to get me yelled at on Reddit, but I don't know how much more transparent I personally can be about that stuff. When you guys report a bug and it's something we're working on fixing and something that we're aware of, I always talk about it on Twitter, on Reddit, on this stream every single week. I'm always answering questions about where bugs are and how we can fix them. So I know people want like a list, me to type up a list every week, but that's not really going to happen.
It's not
sorry.
No. It's not really feasible. Now, maybe with a game that's not 10 years old.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, if we were doing, I don't know, if we had just released the game on Tuesday instead of just releasing an update on Tuesday, we probably would have maybe more something like that. But
Yeah. It's I do enjoy, and I do need to kind of start back up again, responding to, people on Reddit and just, letting them know that this is a known issue. But there's only so many of me, and Mike, right? There's hundreds of comments usually, on the bug thread, but we do look through the threads. Unfortunately, we don't comment on every comment. I want to. It's a priority of mine, and
but on the same time, bro, like that's my job, and even I don't have time to do that. Like you shouldn't be beating yourself up for not spending all of your time responding to everything on Reddit. We're never going to be able to do that, and that's we get. I get complaints from people that were not on the forums responding to every issue that's posted on the forums. I swear to Kayless, we are reading every single forum post and every single Reddit post that reports a bug. We just if we had the time to assign Christian, because it would be Christian we would assign to this, to go on and just say, yep, we got it to every single one. But that's like maybe an hour or two out of his day that he could never get back, and that he needs to spend testing for stuff and fixing stuff. Some people were asking what's the best way to report a bug. There really isn't a best place to report it. Like, if you report it on the forums, we're definitely going to see it. If you report it on Reddit, we're definitely going to see it. If you tweet me about it, I will definitely see it and pass it along. The forums are probably the overall best place to put it, but there is a best method to do it, and that's giving us the most information you possibly can. Like, not just, hey, my saucer separation didn't work, but like, I was in this map flying this ship using these abilities when I tried to activate this and my saucer separation didn't work. The more stuff you can give us, the more info you can give us, it's much more likely that we'll be able to track down, because, and Jeremy can speak to this, the most important thing with being able to fix a bug is being able to reproduce the damn bug.
Yep. And it's on us as well. Like, our QA team has to supply our development team with information.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have it, then it's very difficult to kind of track it down.
Duncan, Idaho, yeah, the in-game bug reporting tool does work. It goes to our customer support team, and they pass off stuff to us that they get.
They do have. I saw someone ask if it would be a good idea to have a bug reporting subreddit. Every time we release a new module, we create a new. It should be sticky to the top. A new bug reporting thread, I guess you could call it. And we look through that. I look through that probably. It's every day of. Probably every few hours of the week that we go live, to make sure that we're catching everything. So I don't know if a subreddit is used or is needed. Sorry.
Yeah. Trekev, please do tell me what you think. And this isn't a challenge. Like, if you have genuine feedback on how we could better communicate bugs and stuff of that nature, please let me know. Yep, the augmented Augie, that's correct. The skills buff specialization bug was super easy to reproduce. We reproduced it, I think, within an hour of it being reported yesterday.
That one was. So we ran through that system 2 weeks ago, and everything was fine. And that's something else that, again, it being 10 years old, we have something we call a BBT. So whenever we get a new code branch, and we usually get it 2 weeks before we go live with a module. That's basically, this is the code that's going to go live. We run a very extensive test case, basically. That's an entire day for all of our testers. So we ran through that system 2 weeks ago. Everything was fine. We put our thumbs up. And then, unfortunately, something went in there and kind of broke. Which is, it sucks, but it's, again, that goes back to like my thought process is, how can we make this better? Like, what is the future of not only Stowe QA, but how can the QA department at Cryptic be better with those types of things?
Sorry, I'm responding. I guess I could say this out
Oh
loud.
yeah, go ahead. I'll read some comments. Let's see.
I was just letting people know on Twitch, like, hey, if you could respond when people ask questions we've already answered, like the Phoenix event fix, that would be totally awesome.
I do think that.
Yeah, Jazz Network. We've heard of that one where console abilities sometimes don't turn on or off correctly. That's another very old one from before even my time, much less Jeremy's time, but we are still looking into it. Roman Console, please stop spamming the chat with unrelated questions. I will get back to you. It's on my list. I got the email today. I haven't had time because I'm doing other things. I will get back to you, I promise.
Let's see. New TFO is bug. Yeah, we do know about the transport issue.
Yep. That one. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I put out the thing asking people to respond in chat. But yeah, grumpy old Nord is not trying hard enough to answer questions in chat, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so guys, if we're going for super specific questions, don't we can't really answer those. Like somebody asked, how do I get my crit chance from 31.5 to 50? Yep. We can't answer that on stream.
I can't help you with that.
Yeah. Same thing with the motivation spam skill on PS4. We're more here to answer general questions or more specific modern things. We're not here to tell you about every single bug because we don't know.
Yeah. This is an interesting question. Dan PMK asked, have you ever had to knowingly reintroduce a bug to fix a worse bug? I think that's interesting. I don't think we've had to do that. There are times where we do revert things so that we're able to fix other bugs. So I guess you're correct in a way that we do reintroduce sometimes, but it's not in the way that was like, oh, let's put this bug in to fix this bug. It's, if we have to revert a check-in to fix something else, then we will do it that way.
Yeah.
But really good question. I like that question.
Yeah, that was a good question. Let's see. Yeah, some people are saying they know specific instances of us doing that.
I'm sure.
So Trey Kev, I'll keep this conversation going with you. So it sounds like it boils down to what you're saying is I have to respond every time somebody reports a bug, and we've previously established that I don't have time to do that. So with that in mind, how would you like? Okay, so you do want, they just posted again, you do want a list of all bugs to be created, and we've sort of talked about, so maybe this conversation isn't as fruitful as I was hoping, because we've sort of talked about why that's not feasible.
I'll comment on the last part. We do have a list. Technically, it's our Jira database, right? It won't necessarily be, we're not going to display that for everyone in our community. Maybe we can do, I don't know. I don't want to think of ideas on the spot and kind of, if they don't come to fruition. But it's an interesting one. I would really want to make you feel like we're listening.
Because we are listening. We're not just making you feel like we're listening. We are listening.
The only thing I could think of is get back on comment. Like if we comment on a few things on a few subreddits and stuff, I think that would make people. But again, we have to balance that time. That time doesn't come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing that, or if Mike's doing that, then that takes us away from, something else that we're kind of supposed to be doing. Or at least from my perspective, that could be time I can spend, mentoring my team or setting up scheduling for a next module or stuff like that. But I think there's always ideas that we can float around.
So, two things. One, Augmented Dictator Games just posted, I am a living public bug list, but I didn't see the L in the word public at first and was very confused. Second, Ryokan OD has a good idea, and this one I might actually try and do. Now, keep in mind that I have a bunch of tasks that I do every week, and my brain may just yeet this idea out into the ether when we're done with the stream. I will try not to. But their suggestion was to go to the Reddit thread excuse me, at the end of the week, and I would probably do this in the forum threads as well, and just say, hey, we've seen everything here. There could probably be a way to do that on the forum with an announcement thread that I just reply to saying, as of something, we've seen everything on the front page here, and then respond to the Reddit thread as well. That's a good idea. And that I might do, because that might make people feel better. And that's an easier thing to do. The illustrious Q, you should get an automatic response that says your report has been received when you report a bug via the in-game bug report. I'll ask people about that, because your bug is getting received, so we should get that. Bad Splat, there's no way I could put together a list where I list every old bug unlikely to be fixed due to technical reasons. And there's two reasons for that. Number one is that's too many bugs. There's no way to find all of that information. That would be a Herculean task, as I often say. The other one is that sometimes I might say a bug is never going to be fixed, and then suddenly we find out it can be fixed tomorrow because something changed.
Yeah, and Neverwinter or Magic could be working on something that could indirectly fix an issue. So that does happen often as well. While sometimes things are introduced through our game engine, some things are actually fixed through our game engine, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, Trekkie, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it is what it is. Let's see. Kid1972 says, might be easier to make a list of non-bugged items. Now, I just want to talk about, the fact that all the stuff we're talking about here today, the huge amount of bugs and the small size of the team, the amount of time it takes to fix stuff. This is an issue that, Facebook just updated on my chat. This is an issue that is not unique to STO by any stretch of the imagination. I think any major MMO you find that's got the same age as we do will have a very similar problem.
Yeah, 100%. And every company. This isn't a cryptic style problem. This is software, and it's all about a balancing game. It's how bad is this issue? Do we have time to fix it? What's the risk in fixing it? Because that's something else. What if we fix it and then break half the game? That's another concern.
Yep.
So it's all a balancing act, and our main goal, and I know everyone on the team, our main goal is to make the game better. So we do our best to kind of organize things in a way that we're focusing on, if we know that there's a bug that's been in the database for 2 years and it's, players are starting to kind of, pick at it. It's been an issue for a while. It does become somewhat of a pet project of mine, and then I just keep poking until we're able to. But again, I can only, I can only poke so far.
Yeah. Somebody reported a bug that there is no T6 Oberth. Turquoise Sea got it right. That's actually a feature because it's an ugly ship, and you all know it.
I'll enter that in the database.
Yeah. Has STO lost team members to Magic? Technically, yes, but we've filled any of those heads that we lost. And we have had some times where some people have been loaned over for a couple of days or a week or so just to help them push through some stuff. But which is one of the ways that Cryptic avoids doing the crazy crunch you sometimes hear about at other studios. But we haven't had, our team size. If the question is, has your team size been axed in order to give more people to Magic? No, that hasn't really happened. Oh yeah, I should definitely make an "Oh well" T-shirt. I don't know if you heard about that, Jeremy.
It is, but yeah,
yeah.
you do it. Oh well, and then it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
There was a question.
They're coming in so fast.
I lost it. Yeah.
Let's see. Did the T6X change the skill tree coding? No, I don't think it was that. Did we figure out what caused the BOF changes? It was something else, right?
Yeah, it was something else. It was something introduced entirely different than the T6. It was something introduced that kind of messed up that entire system.
Yeah. As Lendar says, if they make a T6 Oberth, it must be named the Kel class. Oh God, why? Why? Don't name that after me. It's an ugly canoe. 13 Eowulf, I think there's a similar issue with adding the Jaeger class that I have with adding the Oberth class, except that Thomas is the one who thinks the Jaeger is ugly, if I remember correctly. And Thomas has way more control over what ships we make than I do.
I don't know if we answered the DirectX question.
Oh, we know about it. We're working on fixing it.
It's very high on the priority list, but again, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
A lot of technical stuff behind that one.
All right. Well, folks, we've been at this for almost an hour and a half, and I appreciate deeply all of your questions, and I really appreciate you, Jeremy, coming on here and taking some time, probably having to work later because you did this to answer some questions for us. And folks, honestly, just we're glad that even on days that it seems like a lot of bugs get introduced to the game, we're glad to see all of you, because even if you're annoyed at us for not finding everything, you're still playing the game, and that doesn't mean like, we've got your money, we've got your game time, ha ha ha. It just means that I'm glad this game has the community that it does. I really appreciate having all of you guys around and keeping us sane and staying Star Trek. So in the words of one of my favorite new TV characters, live long and prosper. I'll see you guys next week. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.